So here we are for episode 6 of Meditation Mondays. I'm just gonna wait maybe just a little bit for people to come in. Oh, the uh, the linden trees and all those trees that send out that white stuff are just crazy here in Michigan. And I've been sneezing all day, taking my Zyrtec, of course, but sore throat. Got my water here just in case. Mm, but man, allergy season. So, episode 6, I thought we'd talk today about comparisons and comparing. And I'm reminded of the quote by Mark Twain, comparison is the thief of joy. If you've never heard that before, it's so true. As soon as we start to look over there and start comparing ourselves to the Joneses or the whoever's down the street, it just takes all of the joy out of whatever it is that we are doing, whatever it is that we have. And I bring this up because as a yoga teacher, I see this all the time. And even as a yoga practitioner, when I go to yoga classes, that feeling of wanting to look over and see how my neighbor is doing, that sense of competition in me wants to look over and see if I'm doing the pose better, whatever that means. And it took me a long time to figure out that that's not the way that you practice yoga. Um, we fall into this trap of inferior. I'm not as good as that person, or I'm superior, or even, I'm just as good as that guy. It's fine. So we have these things that are constantly bombarding us. And then don't get me started on social media. Gee. Uh, but when we fall into these traps of inferior, superior, and equal, um, Buddhists have a term for this. It's called anatta, and it's the belief that there's no fixed self. So, when you're comparing yourself and thinking you're above or below or the same, what is it that you're comparing to when there is no fixed self? And if you haven't studied Buddhism, or if you haven't studied Eastern philosophy of any sort, this is a whole other area to get into. But think about it for a moment. If there is no fixed self, we're changing all the time. Nothing is permanent. So what is it that we're comparing to? And who is actually doing the comparing? You know. But anyway, that's another story altogether. But yeah, I mean, who is comparing? What am I comparing you to? Am I comparing you to who I was yesterday? Who I might be tomorrow? You never know. And I think about this, like I said, as a yoga teacher, and I will often hear, "Oh, wait, you're not doing it right." I hear it from a mat, and I look over and I look over at the person who's directing their comment to, when we're doing small group, and these some of these people know each other, and they'll say, "Oh, you're not on the right foot," or "You're not doing this." And I think, that person who is doing their thing on their mat is doing what their body is telling them and what their mind is telling them. And you need to worry about just yourself, and don't compare. So helping that person is not really helping. But the other thing is that when you're even silently comparing yourself to someone on another mat, you don't know what their body is doing. You don't know, um, for example, what their body has been through. Have they had knee replacements? Their spine issues, wrist issues, issues of trauma. You never know. And so When you're comparing and you're seeing that a person is not maybe raising their arm as high as you are, maybe they have shoulder impingement or who knows. So you know your body and you cannot know anybody else's body. Likewise, we don't know other people's circumstances. Um, you hear that word karma all the time. Karma is this web of choices and experience um, and we do not know other people's web of experience, web of choices, but we do know ours. And that's where meditation comes in because when we are sitting down to meditate, what we are doing is we are getting to know ourselves. We are introducing ourselves to ourselves. Hey, this is what I'm thinking, and these are the thoughts that I'm having, and how do I sit with those thoughts? How do I deal with this way that I'm thinking and this way that I'm feeling? And that's what the practice is all about, coming back to the present moment, coming back to awareness and being able to pause and say, I understand. So how do we stop comparing? How do we change our mind and our thought process in order to stop comparing? Um, One of the things that I say all the time is we find joy in the happiness of others. So if this person is has an accomplishment or they have things that make them happy, great. I find joy, I get joy from that person's happiness. Um, I don't necessarily want what they have. I don't necessarily need what they have, or all of the things that create envy and create those feelings of want and attachment. But I do find joy. And it's just so awesome that those people are doing what brings them happiness, and that brings me happiness. Finding peace with decisions that others make. Um, a lot of people have different political views, different views on how society should be run, and things like that. I may agree and disagree, and I can exercise my vote and my voice to protest, but I find peace with their decisions. And I have a practice of being able to listen deeply to people. Um, and when you listen deeply to people, a lot of the times when those people are trying to tell you something, they tell you in a kind of roundabout way. So finding peace with people's decision and listening deeply. And then there is a series of things that we can say on a daily basis to begin or end our meditation, or even during our meditation. Wishing all beings to be happy, wishing all beings to be healthy, wishing all beings to be safe, and wishing all beings to be at peace. This is a practice called metta, or loving kindness practice, which I think we'll talk more about next week. So, comparison, the thief of joy. So, let's meditate for 15 minutes. Let's sit together for 15 minutes. And again, like I say at the beginning of each of these episodes, if you're um, if you're uncomfortable looking directly at me, because I'm going to be looking at the camera and with my eyes partially open, just turn your chair this way and look at the wall, or look at in my case, my closet. um, but know that I am here with you as you sit. So we are sitting as a Sangha, as a group, and yeah. So the three parts of meditation are finding your seat. So find a comfortable seat. I'm sitting in a chair. I'm sitting with my back away from the chair. So my back is long and strong. My front is soft and inviting. My feet are flat on the floor. My hands are palms down on top of my thighs. You can have your hands in a mudra if you know this Zen mudra at your belly. If you know other mudras, uh, you're more than welcome to do that. Second part is to find your breath. So our breath is coming in through our nose and out through our nose. So we find our breath at the tip of our nose. And if you're new to meditation, you can try counting your breath to focus yourself on the breath. I wouldn't go any higher than 5 or 6 breaths, and then I would start over again. The next thing we do, the third thing, is that we notice our thoughts. And thoughts will come, thoughts will go. That's what our brain does. Our brain thinks it's supposed to. But we have the choice of grabbing onto a thought, creating a story around that thought, making the story bigger, creating anxiety, letting it just go crazy. And what we do when we notice that a thought is hooking us is we come back to the breath. Oh, this thought is taking me somewhere. Let me come back to the breath. I was thinking. And you can even just bring it down to one word, thinking, and then come back to the breath. And, my friends, that is the practice. That is the difficulty in meditation, and the difficulty in our awareness in our day-to-day lives is that we get hooked by thoughts and we go off chasing those thoughts and we don't realize it. And the practice is coming back to awareness, coming back to breath. And you can do that 10,000 times during your practice, but the practice is coming back to the breath. And every time we feel a thought grabbing us, we come back to the breath. That's the practice. Okay, so we are going to sit for 15 minutes. Let me set my timer. Where's my timer? A, B, C, D. There it is. Jeez. All right, 15 minutes. All right, so find your seat. Find your breath. Eyes can be open or closed. Again, if you don't want to stare at my image on the screen, you can shift off to the side. And if you find yourself thinking, just come back to the breath. Start to bring some movements to your fingers. Maybe do a twist to the right, twist to the left. And let me leave you with a closing prayer. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe and free from danger and oppression. May all beings find joy and peace in their day. Thank you for sitting with me. And if you have any questions, you can email me, or not email me, put them in the comments down below. And I will see you next week for episode 7. Take care.